Welcome, folks, to another episode of the Big Red Roundtable, where Scott and I from Generation Red are hanging out with our buddies from the Cuz Cast, Justin, Derrick, and Tyler. And tonight, we will do our best to figure out who might be a black shirt, who might not be. But either way, we're going to have fun doing it because we're all probably going to be completely wrong when it's all said and done. Because it seems like about every other day, there's a new guy showing up in the transfer portal, and then he commits to Nebraska. So, as Stephon Wynn did today from Alabama. So we got two guys from Alabama in the last few days. And we'll see if either one of those guys happen to show up in our Too Deep tonight. So, guys, it's been a couple of months since we've hung out on StreamYard. How have y'all been?
Great, Ken. Scott, how have you guys been?
Can't complain. Can't complain. I'm not wearing glasses anymore, so
That's
life's good. Yeah.
You guys are spitting out a lot of content, too.
Yeah, well, it's the same content we did before. The only difference is I just used a video editor to chop it all down into segments and then just throw it back up there on YouTube. I've got stuff scheduled to go up to YouTube all the way through June 24th. So there's plenty of content coming out that's old, but at least shorter and easier bits for people to swallow if they want to. So, yeah, everything's been good for us. We just went and saw the Day by Day documentary in Lincoln back last weekend, Scott? Last Friday?
It's been last weekend
with Honky from the Go Big Red cast, and it was a heck of a lot of fun to watch and listen to the players tell their stories of how all that happened. You know, they spent the first hour of the show kind of getting you up to speed to how they got to 1994. And then that last hour of the documentary was all about the 94 season. And it got pretty intense when every time you saw Brooke Behringer up on the screen and things like that. It was kind of hard to see, but at the same time, it was really good to relive those memories for me. So I'd highly encourage any of you guys, if it happens to be anywhere near your area somewhere in the near future, go get a ticket, go see it. It's absolutely worthwhile.
I'd love to see it. I don't think it's coming to Waco.
Probably not. No. Probably not, but I have a feeling. I was listening to the Doc Talk podcast from this last week, and they were talking to Josh Davis, who was a running back at NU that was kind of the guy that spearheaded doing the documentary. And he said the plan is to get it out to some network at some point where it would be available for folks to either stream or maybe BTN. I don't know. But he said the problem is they're running into his networks wanting to creatively change the documentary to fit their quote unquote criteria for what a documentary needs to be. In other words, they want to editorialize, and Josh Davis is like, no, this isn't an editorial about the 90s teams. This was just what happened, period. So should be fun. I'm hoping that the next one will be out in the next year, where they cover the last 3 years of that Osborne dynasty. So that should be a lot of fun. Anyway, tonight, the whole point of tonight is to just have some fun. We've only got one topic tonight, and that is black shirts, and even, see who the guys are that are going to sit behind the black shirts this year. At least the guys we think might be in those spots, and who knows, as I said at the beginning, could be completely wrong, but it's going to be fun to speculate. And for those of you who are watching, all one of you, we're not going to worry about figuring out who's going to play in a 3-4, who's going to play in a 4-3, all that good stuff. We're pretty much focusing in on a 4-man front because it seems like that's the direction Shenander wants to go with this defense, especially with the size of the guys that have come in via the transfer portal, being guys that aren't exactly those giant 320, 330-pound run stuffers in the middle like he likes to run at 3-4. So we'll start right out of the gate with the defensive line. So, Justin, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have as your defensive ends in that 4-man front?
Dang it, you would have to start with me here. So we'll get the easy one out of the way. It's Garrett Nelson. Garrett Nelson, that's the easy one. The other one, man, I keep going back and forth on this. Is it going to be Caleb Tanner? Is it going to be O'Shawn Mathis? I think there's going to be packages for each of them. I'm going to give the edge to Caleb Tanner right now, I think. If we were to, line up against Northwestern tomorrow, I would probably put Caleb Tanner because he's familiar with the defense. He knows what Shenander wants to run.
Right.
But your Mathis isn't going to be a backup. He's not going to be a Kevin Williams type backup. I mean, he's going to be he's going to be involved. But give me Caleb Tanner right now.
All right.
So somebody call Mars NASA because somebody came over and took over Justin's body.
What do you mean by that, Derrick?
We've had this argument for I don't know, since O'Shawn Mathis committed here. Since before he committed here. Mm-hmm. And there was no shot that Caleb Tanner had to start. So I'm blown away that he just chose Caleb Tanner to start.
Yeah, Justin's been really on the Mathis. Of course he's starting.
So, okay. When I sat down to do this little exercise here about the depth chart, finding where O'Shawn Mathis really fits into this, where he fits into this defense is tough because Caleb Tanner, I mean, are you going to sit him? He has the most experience in the defense, as I said. The playmaking ability of Mathis is extraordinary, but you know what? Caleb Tanner might have the edge to start game one. Maybe that changes down the road, but game one, Caleb Tanner.
All righty. Why don't you go ahead, Scott? Who do you think is going to be the two defensive ends?
Like Justin said, I do think number one right out the bat is Garrett Nelson. Dude is just a freak, man. I was so nervous today when I was at Shields and Garrett Nelson was actually there. And I did not go up to him because I was stuffing my face with a grilled cheese at their little market that they have there. And I was like, that's Garrett freaking Nelson. Holy fucking shit. Sorry, but
all right. Hold up. Before you go any further.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to happen, guys. If you drop an F-bomb or an S-bomb, yeah, party foul. But I don't need to tell you all to take a drink. You just do that anyway.
Hey, I want to tell you guys something right now. This is not orange juice that I'm drinking, okay? I know this looks kind of weird. This is something I don't drink. Okay, but this is called a black-eyed Susan. They drink these during Preakness. It has 1 part vodka, 1 part bourbon, 2 parts sweet and sour mix, and 2 parts orange juice.
And all the part douchebag.
Oh my God, they are so delicious. They are really good. Douchebag. But
well, that's what you were doing in the bathroom before we started. You were squeezing one of those out.
Just a little horse piss.
So let me tell you, it's called a black-eyed Susan, but they really need to call it a blackout Susan because I drank some of these and oh my God, my night was over early last night. They're really good. So
sounds
drink
yummy.
Responsibly with these.
Well.
Yeah. So okay, but with Garrett Nelson, I could not believe that it was him at first because he was absolutely monstrous. He was huge. I almost didn't believe it was him, but then he walked back around and was with another dude who was taller than him. I want to say it was Nash Hutmacher because just because of how freaking big that dude was. But he didn't have a beard. And as far as I've seen Nash, unless he got rid of his beard, I'm not 100% sure, but seeing the dude just looked, I was like, oh my God, this guy's huge. That was just a side note, but it was like, oh my God, what a freaking tank. Yeah, Garrett Nelson is number one on one of the sides. And then, yeah, I'm kind of stuck between O'Shawn Mathis and Caleb Tanner on the other side. I'm going to say, honestly, just because of the size and because I think if Caleb Tanner really is a team player, nothing would get him fired up more than to maybe piss him off a little bit and start O'Shawn instead of him, so he would compete a little bit more. That's just like my itching suspicion that O'Shawn will get the start just because he's just insanely athletic. He has about 10 pounds, 15 pounds more on Caleb Tanner. And we're going right into Dublin with Northwestern and having that's, I mean, O'Shawn is as fast, if not a half a step quicker than Caleb Tanner is. And with that extra 10, 15 pounds, like you can't not start the dude. That's just my logic behind it. Although I am that kind of tears me apart because it's like, well, Caleb Tanner's put in his blood, his sweat, his tears. Like he's really been here for the team. But at the same time, it's like, you got to put the best guy on the field. And I do think that if you were to compare O'Shawn and Caleb Tanner and what their rapport brings, I think O'Shawn has a little bit better of a resume.
Okay.
But we'll see.
All right. How about you, Derrick?
Well, I'm going to go strictly off of stats here. And I'm going to tell you right now, O'Shawn Mathis stats aren't that much better than Caleb Tanner's. And Caleb Tanner probably played, I don't know, a quarter less than what O'Shawn Mathis did. He wasn't a starter most games because JoJo Doman was in there for him. So, I mean, he had a lot of playing time, but he wasn't playing as much as O'Shawn Mathis was. And his stats are, I mean, they're a little bit less, but you expect that with less playing time. And so I think with that, and you're playing a Big Ten compared to the Big 12, and you're still putting up stats comparable to O'Shawn Mathis, I'm gonna lean towards Caleb Tanner just for right now, just because I don't know how O'Shawn Mathis is gonna equivalent to the Big Ten. I don't know. Can he just jump over from Big 12 to Big 10 and be as effective? I don't know yet. As far as Garrett Nelson goes, yeah, there's no argument there. I think if you pull Garrett Nelson, you may have a code black on your hands. He scares me. Like that guy, you don't mess with him. He's gonna go bat crap crazy, if you will.
Give me a reason to drink, Derrick. Just say it.
Bat shit crazy.
Thanks, bud.
There we go.
Yeah, take a drink, party foul.
So
well, you don't have to take a drink, Justin. Derrick does, because he's the one that cursed, for God's sake.
Justin will drink every time everybody curses. So
no man left behind. Nobody has
to curse for Justin to drink.
But I'll say this, Scott, Justin, you're both right in the aspect that all three of these guys are going to be rotating in and out. You're going to see all three of these guys a ton. I think all three of them will have black shirts by the end of the day.
So do I, but not for the same reason. So I'm going to go, and you can follow me, Tyler. And then when you're done letting us know who your starters at defensive end are, Tyler, you can go ahead and let us know who you think the guys are that are going to be backing them up, okay? And then we'll go back around and we'll talk about the guys behind them. For me, obviously, I'm right there with the rest of you. Garrett Nelson is an absolute number one at one end. And if he doesn't get a black shirt after being his fourth year, and he's had a black shirt since he was a true freshman, that would mean that somebody really stepped up, and I just don't see anybody out motoring Garrett Nelson. He knows this defense like the back of his hand, so for sure he's at one end. And I had gone back and forth between O'Shawn Mathis and, believe it or not Caleb Tanner. I have Jamari Butler as the other guy that I went back and forth with on O'Shawn Mathis as a starter. So I've got O'Shawn. I've got O'Shawn starting and Garrett Nelson starting on the other side. So my reasoning is simple. He's a little bit bigger than Caleb. Jamari's in that 245 range. O'Shawn's in that 255, 260 range last I looked. So I think he fits that ability to stop the run for the first two downs as well as be able to rush the passer. So O'Shawn's my starter at one end, Garrett's at the other end. And so I know Caleb Tanner's probably watching this right now. Or no, he's not, because now we have zero people. And that one person watching dropped off as soon as I said that Caleb wasn't even going to start at or play defensive end. So maybe it was Caleb that was watching us. Who knows? But Tyler, why don't you go ahead? Who's your starters at defensive end?
Yeah, Garrett Nelson, I think, is the best player on this team. He's obviously a starter, and I'm going to go Caleb Tanner. He's my other one.
Okay.
Derrick and Justin kind of hit it. I think you guys are all there. I actually, one of the takes I have, I don't know if you guys remember the year that the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The second time they ran a package called the NASCAR package. And I don't think this is going to be normal, but I think there'll be plenty of downs where you see all three of those guys and maybe a Butler or maybe, which will go to my other backups, or a Ty Robinson. I think you're going to see on 3rd and long, I think you might see some downs when you have a lot of the deep speed rushers on there. You won't have the blitz, and you'll be able to rush 4. My backups are Mathis. I didn't have him starting, and Blaine Gunnerson. And I have a dog barking, so I'll let I'll circle back on Blaine. Why I think he gets the odds over Butler.
Yep, I got you. You know what? I've got the same 2 backups as you do, Tyler. I've got Jamari Butler behind Mathis, and I've got Blaze Gunnerson backing up Garrett Nelson. How about you, Derrick? Who do you have for backups at defensive end?
It's hard to argue either one of those two. I would lean a little more towards Jamari Butler, but I think both those guys are going to get some playing time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the main 3, I think those main 3 will be starting/rotating, and then I think you'll have 2 backups that kind of get a little bit of playing time, probably less.
Okay.
But Jamari Butler and Blaze Gunnerson, I think you'll see both of them. I can't imagine a scenario where they leave both those guys off the field.
See, Derrick, I tend to agree with you. I think you'll see a little bit of. I think the gap between Gunnerson and Butler is small.
Absolutely. But I will say, I don't think you're going to see a ton of playing time from either one of them.
There's not enough snaps. It's not
There's
ability.
not.
It's not ability. It's just there's not enough snaps this year. But yeah, I think we're aligned there.
How about you, Scott? Who's your backups at defensive end?
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. Like I said, it's a battle between Caleb Tanner and O'Shawn Mathis for one of those sides. And so I guess by default, because I picked Mathis, Tanner would be one of the backups. And I struggled to find information, and I didn't really have much time, but isn't Blaze Gunnerson still injured right now, like recovering from an injury?
I couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay.
I don't.
Are you thinking of Snodgrass?
I don't know what I was thinking. I could have swore that Gunnerson was injured going into spring or
I think
something like that.
He played in the
Snodgrass
spring
was.
He played in the spring game. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Then that changes. I had it up in the air because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, wasn't there like an injury with Gunnerson or something that kind of made him like a question mark? But I couldn't find any information about it. So I was like, well, I'll ask about it when we start recording to make my actual decision and see if one of you guys knew, which, yeah, I guess he's not injured most likely. So, yeah, I would have to pick Blaze Gunnerson just because he's a freaking big, tall, athletic guy. But I still think, yeah, Jamari Butler has as equal of a chance to be as much of a force on that defensive end side of things. If Blaze Gunnerson can fight for it, I'm sure he will get there because I mean his athleticism is just he has a really high ceiling in my opinion. So long as he can stay healthy. Yeah, so that's kind of what I got. Jamari Butler or Blaze Gunnerson. I honestly don't know between the two because I think Butler does have really, really good athleticism to offer.
All right. Derrick, had you gone yet?
Yeah, I just went.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Justin, you're next then.
So my backups behind Garrett Nelson's Jamari Butler. One of the things about Jamari Butler to me was I did not realize he was as big as he is until the spring. I had no idea. But from all the reports out of the spring and what we saw out of the spring game, I think he's definitely going to be in the mix. I think he's going to get some meaningful snaps this year. Then on the other end, since I had Caleb Tanner starting, I mean, it's O'Shawn Mathis. But, I mean, to me, that's like a 1A, 1B over on the other side. So,
fair.
Yeah. And so when you guys talk about there's only so many snaps, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I think you can probably see Blaze Gunnerson there in cleanup time. I don't know if he's going to get any meaningful snaps for action this year.
Is
Just
it
because there's too
possible?
many good guys.
Is it possible that first of all, I have Gunnarsson over Butler, but neither here nor there. Is it possible we see an or with Mathis and Tanner?
I think it's very likely.
Very, very possible. That's what you're
The
going to
staff
see.
loves the ors, don't they?
I mean, I feel like we are heading down that
Well,
place.
they love the ors in the public release of the depth charts, but I'm pretty sure there's not too many ors behind closed doors. Hey, I rhymed. What do you know? I think they know who the dude is going to be, but they just throw an or out there to throw people for a loop, because that's always worked, right? Being secretive, this staff
It's
being
completely
secretive
working
is
for them because they're
totally
completely
worked.
surprising all
For
these
4
other
years
coaching
now,
staffs.
it has absolutely worked. So